We have created a folder structure. I didn't have to go through and hit new folder and remember what the naming convention was. None of that, no more. Organization is awesome, but it can be super tedious on the computer, especially if all you have is the Finder or your File Explorer, and you have to sit there and right click and hit those new folder button over and over again. It's just a hassle. So let's automate this and make this super fast. If you're in an agency, if you're into client work, if you're doing freelance entrepreneurship, if you are a marketer, if you're a developer, if you're a designer, I think you will find this very helpful for setting up your projects. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So I'm going to crack open Visual Studio Code. This is my favorite code editor. So if you have it, go ahead and let's code this along. We're going to create our first shell script, something that the computer will just go through each line and each command and execute them as if we were typing them individually on the terminal, but now it's automated, so we don't have to sit there and actually type everything every time. So if we want to, let's say, create a structure where maybe we're doing client work and we do projects. So we have a new project. Every project we need to have a creative brief. We're going to, create the file for that. We also, inside of our project folder, we also want to have like the work in progress folder so that we can have all of our files that we're working on behind the scenes before we send it off to the client. We want all of those in that work in progress folder. We want a folder for deliverables for when we're actually ready to send these off. They're the final versions, right? And maybe we need a folder for the stuff that the client gives to us. We need some kind of input folder. We're going to make it so that all we have to do is run this shell script, and it's going to happen no matter what. It's always going to give us this file structure so that we don't have to sit there and spend all the time making that happen. And then we can just work on doing our work. So let's get started. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit Control or Command N because I want to start a brand new file. And we're going to make it a shell script. So we're going to give it this little line right here. It's just a quick line that shows the computer what kind of file this is. It's something that you should have in the very top first line of all your shell scripts. So if you do this again, go ahead, copy paste this or make it a snippet, and we will go ahead and get to the actual program. So whenever we're going through some kind of automation process, we want to first of all kind of figure out what are the steps that we need to take. So I'm actually going to type out the requirements or the steps that I want to see the computer do. And I'm going to do things in very small chunks. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I already know some of the things that need to happen on the computer's end. But hopefully that will help you recognize, oh, we need to do this and this if we're trying to do something on our own. So let me hurry and type up these requirements. All right, so here are our steps. You can see I'm using this little hashtag, this pound sign, number sign. It's an indicator that this is a line that has a comment. It's going to be ignored by the computer, so we can make these little steps or comments. And that helps us when we go back and open this in a couple weeks and we have no idea what's going on. These are ways to help us understand what's going on in the code. The first thing we need to do is go to our main folder. Maybe we've got a folder for just with all of our clients, and we're going to put all of our projects inside that one main folder. So I've actually got one set up on the desktop, and it's going to be called Clients. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in commands as if I were typing them into the terminal. So let's say, let's crack open the terminal so you can see here. I've got this clients folder already, and this is where I want to put all of our project folders. You can see that there's nothing in it. If we're going to find out where this is, we know that we can grab this part and actually call this the tilde. So we're gonna grab this. We don't need this shell right now, or the terminal right now. We're going to pretend like we're going to go into this path. And that's because we want this shell script to only create these folders inside of that path. So we don't want it to start putting it, maybe we accidentally move this shell script somewhere and it starts putting these folders somewhere that it's not supposed to. So we're going to start out by making sure that it's going to this folder, and then we can start creating folders inside of it. So if you remember from our quick reference guide, in order to create a folder, you use the command make directory, mkdir. And so now we can just type in our name of the folder that we want to call it. So let's just say it's project. It's a project folder. We want this project to show up, and then we're going to put some other folders and files inside of that project folder. So now we know we want to go into this project because we want to put stuff into this. So we're going to have to move our terminal into that new folder. And so we're just going to change directory into the project. So this matches here. And then the last thing we need to do right here is we're going to create a brand new text file. I'm just going to copy this name here, and if you remember again from one of the quick reference guides, to create a file, all you have to do is say touch and type in your file name and the extension. So that's going to create a blank text file for us right there. And then the last thing we want to do is each project, we're going to have some inputs, we're going to have deliverables, and a work in progress folder. So let's go ahead and make all of those by, again, using the make directory command, mkdir, and then we're going to type in the folder name. So I'm actually going to put this on 3 separate lines, just so that we can see them all. I'll copy the folder names here. So now we have our shell script. Hopefully it works. We're going to see what we're going to do is first we're going to save this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to put it in the client's folder just because it'll help me remember where to go. Since it is a shell script for this folder, I'm just going to put it there. It doesn't have to be there. You can put it wherever you want to. Just don't forget where it goes. We're going to call this project structure.sh for shell and save that. Now there is one more step, and the cool thing is now that we've saved it, Visual Studio Code recognizes that it's a shell script, and so we get some highlighting here, which is super nice. The last thing we need to do before we can run this is to make sure that we can actually execute it. So with shell scripts, there's a lot of permissions. We want to be careful with these, of course, but we are going to once again crack open the terminal, and if we list out what's in there, we can now see this is our shell script. So what I'm going to do to make sure that we can execute it, we're going to say change mode with chmod plus x, and then we're going to choose our file name, which is project structure, hit tab to autofill, and we hit enter. So now we should be able to run our shell script. So what we're going to do to run it is now we're going to say in this current directory, which is what this // means, we're going to start typing in the name again, hit tab, and if we hit enter, we can see now we have all of a sudden our full project structure. Even this blank creative brief has been created, which is super awesome. And so if I delete this and I can run it again and switch back to the Finder, we can see it's back here again. We have created a folder structure. I didn't have to go through and hit new folder and remember what the naming convention was. None of that, no more. This is phenomenal. However, there's one flaw. We don't want to keep constantly making project folders because there's going to be different project names. We don't want to make it the same for the top level folder. We want the stuff underneath it to be the same. So the system is the same, but the project's name is going to be different. So we're going to talk about how to solve this in the next video.